Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 50 Shades of Over 50. And my guest today is the fabulous Belinda Mays, aka Black Shangazi. Yay! All right. So my first question that I always ask all my fabulous guests is, how old are you?
I am a very young 52.
Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. So I want the audience to know a little bit about you before I start asking you a question. So if you can just summarize really quickly who you are and what you're doing in the world.
Gosh, you know what? This question right here, I have been working on this week because I don't even know who I am at this point, because I feel like I'm always evolving. So my daughter, who is she works in the marketing brand department for Capital One, and so she was actually just sitting here in my office like 2 days ago, like, who are you? What do you do? And who do you help? And I'm sitting here like, okay, so let me get back to the question. I am Belinda Mays. I'm a 52-year-old woman who is excited about creating a life that is full of freedom to be who I am when I want to be that person. And if I don't want to be that person anymore, then I have the freedom to reinvent myself. And what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get on, well, not trying, I am evolving on social media, because I think with the kind of person I am, I consider myself like a nomad. I'm just here, there, gone tomorrow, over here. So I just hope to inspire, other women in our age group that you can still be, have, and do everything that you want to do when you were 30. You can still do it in your 50s, and it feels great. So I know that was a long answer and rambling, but
no, you were not rambling. You were just giving us more details. And we need that sometimes, because some of the women listening are like, ooh, that sounds like me, because you just never know. And so I really appreciate you going into depth in explaining that. Thank you so much. So when I introduced you, I refer to you as AKA the Black Shangazi. So can you tell us what that's about? I want to know.
Well, exactly, because I've been doing this work this week as well. 90 days ago, I started a YouTube channel called the Black Shangazi. And, during the time when I was trying to plan the channel, and I was like, do I want to be Belinda online? And I was like, no, I want to have a different persona. And the Black Shangazi, in Swahili, Shangazi means auntie. So, a lot of the work that I actually do now when I'm on the road, a lot of the younger consultants, they call me Auntie B. And I was like, I don't want to be Auntie B. It just doesn't sound cool enough for me.
Yeah.
So I Googled Auntie in all languages. And then when I saw Shangazi, I was like, okay, let me see if somebody has this. Nobody has it. I'm Black. The Black Shangazi.
Oh, I love it. So you're throwing up those auntie vibes in a different way, in a very exotic. I love that. Black Shangazi.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's how it came about. And it's just going to be, I put the channel on pause right now, because after 90 days, since I'm new to this whole social media world, I wanted to step back after 90 days and basically look at my analytics and kind of figure out if I'm going in the direction that I saw for the channel and for the people that watch.
Yes.
And so it'll be back up in a couple of weeks after being rebranded.
Nice. And tell me, why did you decide to have a YouTube channel? Because I'm sure there are women listening probably thinking they want to do the same. Why did you decide to do that?
Well, I decided to do it, number one, because as I traveled the United States, I was meeting so many of my counterparts in this age bracket. And they really were starting to feel invisible, like that, you know, I'm an empty nester now. I really don't know who I am, or, oh, that was 20 years ago. If I could go back to 30, I could do it. And I just want to share with them my journey. And I'm not going to always get it right, but hopefully to inspire them to just go out and try different things. And it's okay that it's not going to always work out. So, like in the last year, excuse me, you know, I've been in real estate for a very long time when I lived in Georgia. And I always helped investors find properties, flip properties, but I never did anything by myself. And so last year, I flipped a house by myself. I went to South Carolina, a totally different city, state, found this little house, and went through that experience all by myself, meaning I found the house, I bought the house, I hired the contractors, everything was on me.
Wow.
And it was the best, scariest, 90 days of my life. I was like melting down, I was high. And I actually did record some of the journey, which
yes,
in the future, I will be putting it on my YouTube channel, just so that other women can hopefully look at it and be inspired.
Yeah, wow. That's amazing. And I think you mentioned something that I think is really important. Sometimes when we have goals, we kind of get fixated on the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, that is not what we need to be focused on. We need to be focused on the journey and who we're becoming in the process. And listen, I'm saying this to myself too. I know sometimes I can get fixated on, oh, it has to be this way. Mm-hmm. Forgetting that who I'm becoming in the process, that's the prize right there. That is priceless. Because when you start that journey and when you end that journey, totally different person. You've grown in some way. And whatever skills you acquire, you can use it for something else. So I'm glad you kind of pointed that out. And also for those of you listening, I want you to realize that things don't have to be all perfect in order for you to I want you to go ahead and do it messy. That's right. Listen, if you wait for perfection, you're going to be waiting until you're almost ready to die. I'm serious, because things will never be perfect. Being messy, that's good. That's okay. We do that.
It's so great because you definitely inspire me as well, because I don't know if it was where I saw you doing it. One of your social medias, and I was like, look at her going in the grocery store with her crown and sash.
And I'll tell you, that was hard. But
it was so inspiring.
I did it because I wanted to be uncomfortable, because I know that that's where the growth is. And I did that to challenge myself, because in me, I was challenging myself daily to do things I hadn't done before. And so I told my husband, I'm like, okay, we're going to the grocery store. I had my sash and crown. And I said, I want you to videotape me. And he's like, the first thing he said, in the grocery store? I'm like, yes. And it was kind of interesting, you know, because you're getting looks, because this is the thing. As humans, this is one thing I want all of you to listen to and really, really think about, because it's really important. Whenever we do things in life, it's because we either want to feel a way or we're avoiding a feeling, always. Mm-hmm. And so for me, going into that grocery store, I knew I was going to be uncomfortable, because typically we're running away from our feelings, or we're trying to get a feeling. I was not doing that. I was going in there to be uncomfortable, because I knew, first of all, people are going to look at me. They're going to be wondering, what is she up to? And then just actually walking in with a crown in the grocery, like a crown, in my opinion, has no place in the grocery store. I'm like, okay, so why? And then we add my age and top of that, I'm in my 50s. So it's like, okay, this 50-year-old woman walking into a grocery store with a sash, like, it was but I did that so that I would feel that feeling. Because when we're able to embrace any emotion, oh my goodness, your life will be amazing in so many different ways you can't even imagine. Because that's what we as humans are always, we're always like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel. We're always on that train. But when you realize, you know what, I can embrace any emotion. Let's go. That's
exactly
when it begins.
I think your success does lie on the other side of that fear.
Yes.
And so either you're going to walk the straight line and be comfortable all the time, but you're never going to really get to where you want to go unless you take that leap. And it's so funny that you said to detach yourself from the outcome. And that's definitely something that has helped me, especially since I turned 50 a couple of years ago. Because I started to do this Deepak Chopra's 21 Days of Abundance meditation series. And I don't remember what day it is, but he does have a day in there where he talks about detaching yourself from the outcome. Just do the work and don't worry about the outcome because, it will happen on its own. And once I really grasped that concept, I was able, that's how I was able to like flip that house on my own. Because like I said, when I was helping investors and, the contractors didn't show or it was another $10,000, I would just say, it's going to be okay. We're going to work through this, but it was their money.
Yeah.
when you're doing something and you're thinking that you're finished and then you find that the whole septic tank is caving in the ground and someone gives you a bill. And I'm like, oh God. It's like, oh God, I can't do this. Oh my God. I'm just having a whole meltdown.
Yeah, of course.
And it's so funny that my daughter now is 25, right? And it's almost like the tables have turned because she's like, snap out of it.
That's what our kids do for us after a while.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So it's definitely on the other side of that fear is going to be your success. And your success does not always have to be something tangible. I think a lot of times when we're talking about success, we're looking at the material possessions or the things that society may say is success. But if you were able to just go a little further than you would have went, a couple months ago, or if you were able to just brush off some negativity that you weren't able to do a year ago, then you are, making successful steps. And that's what this life's journey is all about. So
it is. And the thing is, we get to learn this. At least I did. I started learning this when I was much older. And so for me, my goal really is if I can inspire more women in our age group to do this, we can inspire the younger generation in the process. Because can you imagine if they learn all of this from a younger age? By the time they get to their 50s, man, they will be like seasoned in learning and knowing this whole process. And I really think that the world will change if we start to think differently. Because right now, people just kind of like, oh, that's the way things are. I tell my clients, question everything. How do you know that's the way it should be? Because everyone has done it this way doesn't mean you have to do it that way.
Exactly. That's definitely so true. So this journey of, this is really probably the most mentally free that I have ever felt. Wow. And, even though, and for those of you who are watching this, you had no idea that I was not going to show up.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. So let's go.
Okay. So it was, when did I reach out to you? Wednesday?
Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
And I just sent an email and I just said, hey, Kwavi, I need to cancel. I'm in a place right now. I don't know who I am, what I'm doing, or where I'm going. I don't know how I closed it. But
along those lines,
I sent it hoping that she would just accept my decision, because that's my decision. I don't want to come on the show. I ain't feeling up to myself. Okay. I need to get this together and be, And then being the coach that she is, she responded that we are in a human experience and it's okay to be vulnerable. So as I sit here with a little bit of makeup on, my hair a little curl, I am in a vulnerable state, to be honest right now, because I'm going to be moving from what I call Sleepy Town. Like I lived in Atlanta for almost 30 years, right? And when my daughter graduated college, I had a whole nother life that I thought I was going to leave. And she graduated in, excuse me, 2019. So 2020 comes around. The plan was for me to sell my house and just kind of travel. And then what happened in 2020? COVID hit. And so I had sold my house, and then my daughter had gotten a job here in Virginia. And just like, okay, where am I going? I need to quarantine somewhere. So I'm quarantined with her in what we call Sleepy Town. So when you go from a very, diverse area where there's always something to do, and then you come to an area where you look outside at 5 o'clock and everybody's inside and there's nothing going on and there's not really a whole lot to do, then it's a culture shock. But then it became a place of solace because it allowed me in that 2020 to kind of meditate more, to go within more, and so forth. But now, fast forward 2 years later, I called my landlord. The landlord said, this is not it. We got to go north. So we're moving closer to DC. And so I just have, I'm going through some anxieties about, relocating to a different place and kind of getting my bearings. And who am I? What am I doing? Why am I 52 and I don't have, like my mom would say, by 52, you should be settled. You should be in your forever home. You should be doing this. And so those are the things that I was hearing this week. You're moving to a new place. You're starting over. You're over 50. You're divorced. Who are you? What are you going to do? Those kinds of things. So I really needed time to sulk. But you weren't having it.
And let me tell the viewers why. Because like she said, I did say, well, I told her I respect your decision. However, I told her that being in this state is not a reason not to do the interview, because there are people that can learn from that. And to be honest with you, we're all going through stuff. And I'm so glad that you decided to show up, because you could easily have said, well, Kwavi, you know what? I'm just not doing that. But you didn't. And I appreciate that, because I'm sure there are some people listening feeling, I kind of feel out of sorts. I don't know who I am. And this is the thing. Society wants to tell us that at 50, we should have it all figured out. What does that mean? Have what figured out? Like, this is part of the human experience. It's always going to up and down. And what does all figured out mean? Like, you should do this, this, this. There is not a one size fits all for a woman who is over 50. You get to decide what that means to you. And I keep saying this, like sometimes I read these different magazine headlines and they have all these really interesting rules for women over 50. I'm like, who does that? Oh, you shouldn't wear a bikini. You shouldn't wear jeans. You shouldn't have long hair. I'm like, who comes up with these rules? We get to decide for ourselves what our rules are. I always say we are redefining what over 50 means to us. And guess what? Each person listening gets to set their own rules on their own terms. You get to do that. It's not up to society. No.
That is so true. And I'm actually, glad that I did decide to come, because, sometimes whenever you are over 50, and if you are divorced or single or widowed or whatever the case is, you don't have really checks and balances. You do what you want, when you want. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. You don't have a husband or young children to kind of keep you going straight. You just stop and then that's it. But I was glad that, you checked me kind of.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that.
Yeah. And look at the new adventures that you're going to be on. I'm married, I have, teenagers. But there are some days when I'm like, wouldn't it be so excited to just go to a country and stay for 6 months? I'm not kidding you. Those are the thoughts that I've cut. So for those of you out there, listen, there are so many advantages of where you are, regardless of where you are right now. There are so many. Don't close your brain off, because sometimes when we go through that, when we make statements like, oh, I'm not sure, I don't know. When you make statements like that, you know what that does to your brain? It closes your brain off from even being creative. It's like you tell your brain, don't work, we're good. No, ask your brain, what are the options available? Get your brain to work, and then you'll come up with all these different ideas like, oh, I can do this. The other day I was reading something where they have this, it's called like a gap year for people over 50.
Really?
Yes, you travel for a year to all these different, I mean, who would have thought of that?
Right.
That to me is so exciting. And so
do
not close off because society says it should be this way. I'm telling you, it's this way. And it goes this way too. It's like so many options for you. So many.
Yeah, I'm really excited because we were talking to the gentleman who we're going to be renting the place from. He's an attorney in DC, and he was just really giving me a lot of information, that things that I didn't really know before. He was like, this is such a transient, he said, this is the most transient place in the United States because of the way the political, every 2 years people are coming and going.
Yeah.
And he was just giving me a lot of options. And, every week is a different challenge for each of us.
Yeah.
If we would just accept the challenge and don't shut it down when that feeling of unworthiness or feelings of fear pop up. We need to just, in my opinion, for me, I've learned to just sit in that moment and just accept it. Okay, this is where my brain is telling me I am, but why is it telling me that? It's telling me that because it's trying to protect me.
Yes.
Ooh. So it's protecting
say that again.
me.
Say that again so that people will listen. Why is your brain doing that?
Yeah, your brain is just telling you these negative things because it's trying to protect you. And it is up to us to say, you know what? I got that this time. Save the protection for something that I really need protection.
Yes. Like someone chasing you down the street.
Because this ain't it. Moving, and then when I start to really look at it, I'm like, okay, I don't have any minor children. I'm debt free. I haven't owned a car in 7 years because I was traveling so much.
Yeah.
You have, several remote income sources.
Yes.
What are you complaining about?
Thank you. Exactly.
And once again, it boils down to that society wants a 50-year-old woman to have, to be right here in this space doing this thing and don't venture out.
Yeah.
So, on Monday or Tuesday, I was a wreck. By Friday, I'm like, what was I thinking?
Friday, you got this. And and it's part of the human experience.
Yeah.
And something you said that's really important is when these things happen, sit in it. You know what some of us want to do? We want to run away from it. Right. And some of the things that we do to run away from those things are we overeat, we drink, we go on Netflix, we go on social media, all to escape ourselves. It's time for us to sit in it. And I want to just say that those things I mentioned are not things you can't do ordinarily, but when you're doing it to avoid what is in front of you, that's buffering. That's like trying to avoid it. So I want you, when that happens, like you did, just kind of sit, and it's not easy to sit in it.
Oh, and let me show you something else.
Yes.
That allows me to sit in my feelings every day. I don't know if you can see that. There it is.
My book. Oh, thank you.
Yes, I've almost finished it. Yeah, I'm way back here.
Look at that.
Yeah. Listen. So I sit in it with this book. And then another thing that I know you have a multicultural audience, but this is because I am Black. Mm-hmm. I sit in it with this book as well. Oh. It's a self-care book for Black women. Oh. And my morning starts with these two books. And then after these two books, then I go into a meditation.
Oh my word. Oh my, I had no idea. Oh, thank you.
So I sit in it with Kwavi and I sit in it with with the other book.
It's not easy to do
it's
this.
not.
But you know what? It is so worth it in the long
it's
run.
Worth it.
Oh my goodness. What is on the other side? Oh my word. Like that book you're talking about. I share the story all the time. When that book was first published, I didn't tell anyone. I was so scared of putting the book out there, even though it was already published. It was on Amazon for a month, I mean, before I told anyone. And when I say anyone, I didn't tell my husband, didn't tell my kids, I didn't tell no one. I didn't tell them it had been published because I had this fear because when you do new things, it's almost like wearing a new outfit that you're not used to. And that's what it felt like to me. I wasn't an author before. This was new. And so just stepping into that author role was hard. I'm like, oh, I'm not really. And then your brain is telling you, you're not an author, just kind of chill. But the thing is, if I hadn't brought it out, no one will purchase the book. How will people know the book is even available?
Right.
And so I had to embrace the fear, knowing that there might be some people that will criticize the book. That's fine. But there are also some people that are going to benefit from the book. And so that's kind of how I'm like, okay, Kwavi, get it together. Let's go. And then,
I definitely benefit from that book. Some of the things that was in the book, I hadn't really thought about in years, like years. And it took me aback. I was like, because I usually set aside maybe about 45 minutes to do my morning meditation routine. But then I had to sit at that question because I had already started the question. One of the things that I do is if I start the question, I have to write the answer today in this moment.
Yes.
I'm not going to skip it and go to tomorrow's question. So some of the questions in the book had me like this. I'm just like, oh gosh, I don't know. I need to leave this page. But then after I meditate on it, I'm able to answer it. And it's been very helpful. So ladies, if you have not bought that book, go out to Amazon and get that book. It's really
and
good.
The link for the book is down below. But I think that's important. I created that book because I really want women in their 50s and over to start to fall in love with themselves.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, we're doing. We're just kind of just going. And then we get to 50, and a lot of us are asking the question, okay, what's next? Is this it? Kids are grown, relationships are changing. Some are ending. I mean, so many different things. And you're like, okay, what about me? What about me? And that's why I created that book, because I want women to realize that they can start to love themselves now, even if they haven't done so in the past.
Yeah. It's definitely very encouraging. And I, piggyback on what you're saying is that you do give, because during this week when my daughter was kind of coaching me on my brand statement, she and I were talking, and I was just telling her that it's so difficult to encourage myself the way that I encouraged her, because, just a little backstory. My grandfather and didn't go to college. My mother didn't go to college, and I didn't even go to college. I didn't go to college for some personal reasons, but she was my one little egg, and I nurtured that egg, and I did everything for her that I wanted for myself, but didn't have someone to nurture it. So she graduated from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, which is a top Ivy League business school. And so I was telling her for a whole 10, 15 years, I'm churning and fighting. And, when she couldn't make the decisions, okay, we're going to decide to do this. And then when she's 23, when she's now a woman, in 2020, I'm like, I don't have my egg anymore. It's like, who am I? Because my whole
you without
being,
that? Yes.
Yeah, was her. And now she's like, you have all the time in the world. It's one of those things that I'm now realizing that the same fervor that I used to encourage her, I have to turn it on myself. When I fought for her, when the public school system was saying, oh no, we don't do that for advanced kids, I have to use that same fight for myself. Yes. And it's been encouraging for my own self to do that, but it's also been scary.
Yeah.
Because that protection voice says,
yes,
you're over 50, 65 is right around the corner, that whole retire. It's like your parents, retire at 65, get you a really good lazy boy and sit in there and watch judge shows all day. No, I don't want to do that. That does not appeal to me.
And that's the key. You don't want to do that. For some,
No.
that might be okay, but that's not what you are.
That's not what and so I encourage all women to, just like, you and I had talked about reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
And that was probably behind belly fat. My second highest viewed video was you and I talking about reinventing yourself. Yeah. And it's so funny that I have to even though I was in that interview with you, I have to replay it myself to get the tips.
Yeah, because we have to keep reminding ourselves. We have to do that. And you know what? I just want to say, Belinda, thank you so much for showing up.
Yeah.
It's hard to show up when you, quote unquote, don't think you are your best. Mm-hmm. Whatever that means, right?
Yeah.
But you did. And I know that there are women listening that are going to be like, oh, wow, that's me. Wow, she did that. Oh, wow, that's encouraging. That's me. That's the reason why I do this show. I do this show because I know there are women out there that think that their life is over. They think that being over 50 is a death sentence. And I want to change that.
Oh, for sure.
One woman over 50 at a time. And so your story, I know it's going to bless so many people. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm just really glad that, hey, if you need a coach, she's right here. She's going to whip you in line. She's not going to accept your BS excuses for why you don't want to show up. That's like me not wanting to show up because I was having a struggle, a mental struggle with what the angel and the devil. Oh, you're worthy. No, you're not. You're, just back and forth.
Yeah.
It is those struggles that actually, lead people to, do things to themselves that they would not normally do.
Yeah.
And
so true.
To have someone, whether they, know you for 20 years or for 20 minutes, to basically recognize the moment that you may be in and still say, hey, it's okay. We're all human. Come on the show, girl. That's what I did. I came on the show and I'm happy to have been here.
I'm so happy you did. And I just want to share something because something you just mentioned kind of made me remember something that I normally like to talk about. And so I just want to share with all the ladies listening, and there might be some men listening too. So I want to show you this. This is a dollar bill, right? You can see that.
Yep.
This is a dollar bill also. And the difference really is, okay, this one is kind of new. This one is kind of wrinkly, but the value, exactly the same. And so I just want to let you know out there, you're in your 50s, you're older, okay. Your value does not diminish as you get older. Some of you are beginning to think, oh, I no longer have any value. That society send you those subtle messages, but don't believe it because it's not true, okay? Never, ever forget that you are valuable and your value doesn't diminish because you're older.
Exactly.
No. In fact, when you think about it, things like wine and cheese, they actually you pay more when they're older. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So, all right. I want to thank you so much for coming, Belinda. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And for those listening, if this has interested you, please subscribe and share with others. And if you want a bit more, I do have an online community called Flourish. Please look at the show notes down there. You can find the link. I encourage you to come visit, come learn more, because the community is all about encouraging and inspiring women to be more and do more. All right. Thank you, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
If you enjoyed listening to the show, you have to take a look at Flourish, my monthly online community for women in their 50s and beyond. We talk about the important issues affecting women in their 50s and over and provide tools and resources to help you live your best life. Join me by clicking the link Flourish Online Community in the About Me section below. I'd love to have you join me. See you there.